What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with the VR365 live show. We are up to episode 32. It is Saturday. It is noon, and it is, of course, December 8th. What is going on? Let me get my mic situated here a little bit better. Alrighty, so I need to get my pop-out chat in the right spot. And here we go. Okay, so what are we going to get into today? So basically, we have three things that we're going to get into today. First, we're going to go to the mailbag. And we're going to take a look at the last three episodes and a number of different comments that people have left over the last three episodes, because I haven't done a good job in the last couple of days in going over the mailbag. That is my fault. So we will go ahead and take a look at that. The other thing that I'm going to talk about briefly is Virtual Army Revolution. Did you get in there yesterday? Did you try the demo? I did. We'll talk about that. We will talk about that a little bit. And then we're also going to get into our primary topic of today's show, which is the big games for July 2018. It was a very strong month. I got to tell you, there are, I believe, 5 games that I'm going to highlight for the month of July. And I have no idea which one of these games is going to win Game of the Month in July, because it is a difficult month to choose a Game of the Month, especially between two particular games that came out in July, very strong releases that happened. So we have all of that to get into today, and we've only got an hour to do it. So we probably just need to start banging away at it right now. So let me get my topics set up here. That is not my topic. Let's see here. That isn't my topic either. Go ahead and save that. And there we go. Okay, here's my topics for the day. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Mailbag. And let me go ahead and switch over here to a web browser. Click on this here, and this was yesterday's episode, episode 31. Star VR already dead. Little bit clickbaity, maybe a little bit, and 17 comments. Like to see that. You know, that is nice. There's been a lot of shows I've done that have only had like 3 comments, 2 comments, 1 comment. Sometimes I even have shows with no comments. So I really, really appreciate it when I get a number of comments here. And so the first comment that I wanted to highlight is Paradise Decay. And this is funny because yesterday I was doing the timestamps for yesterday's show. And I realized this during the show yesterday. I hardly ever looked at chat like yesterday. Like yesterday was one of the rare shows where I basically completely ignored chat the entire show. All kinds of things were said in chat, and I was just going from one thing to another thing, to this trailer, to that trailer, to this trailer, to that trailer, and I ignored all of it. So my apologies. And Paradise kind of speaks to that a little bit in this comment. He says, chat recap, because Anthony forgot to catch up on live chat. Red Matter in UK on play. Oh yeah, so Red Matter, the price is £25. It's basically £25 in the UK. I'm not sure if that's going to translate to $29 here in the USA on Tuesday. We'll have to wait and see. Or that price might already be out there. I'm not sure. And then he says that he gifted someone in chat Arizona Sunshine, and after checking this person's profile, the game is still in their library. So I guess some people actually did get over, if you will. I always say there's no such thing as getting over. Stop trying to get over. But somebody did kind of get over. They got Arizona Sunshine for free, so that is cool there. And then Jean-Michel Jarre. Concert to be held in the Wave RV this December. I am not familiar with that guy, don't know anything about it, But yeah, there are lots of interesting things that go on in the Wave. The Wave RV, I'm guessing the Wave VR. So slight little misprint there on that. So that is Paradise Decay. Okay, and I'm not going to read all of these because I used to do that, and I would spend like 20 minutes going over the mailbag. So I'm not going to do that. But Controller Brain, right here, Controller Brain left a comment. He says, there's a VR Wipeout game on Steam. It's called Ballistic NG. It's better than the PSVR version. Better than the PSVR version of Ballistic NG, or is it better than Wipeout VR? Because I don't know, I have a hard time believing that there is a futuristic racing game in VR that works better than Wipeout VR. Now, people have said it. You know, I've heard people talk about Redout Enhanced Edition, or whatever it is. I've heard people talk about Distance. I've heard people talk about a number of racing games that are available on Steam. But if you really believe that it's better than Wipeout VR, you haven't played Wipeout VR long enough, in my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion, and I could be completely off the mark there, but that is Controller Brain. And then Ray Pope. Ray Pope has a message here. He says, not sure if you read these 11 hours after posting your vid. Well, Ray, you're in luck here, because I am reading these. In fact, your quote here is being featured on our show. So this is a good reason to leave a comment after the show, because you may get featured here. So he's saying, not sure if you read these 11 hours after posting your vid, but oh my goodness, I just saw a cinematic experience, and this ish just got real. I mention it because of your respect for cinematic future in VR, such as the Invisible Hours and the Great Sea that you spoke about. Yes, I do. I like these things. We need more than just games. Games is not going to do it for everybody. We need to have cinematic experiences. We need TV shows in VR. We need movies in VR. We need music videos in VR. We need to have a lot of varied content. And he says this one is called Awake, Episode 1, and the storytelling and cinematics are next level. I know you can't drop 6 bones on every recommendation, but this is definitely one to consider, and being Episode 1 has me excited that there is more to come. Okay, that's interesting, and you know what I was going to do right before this show? I was going to try to do a Google search on that and try to see what is he talking about. Awake, Episode 1. I have no idea what he's talking about. Is it available on Steam? Is it on the Oculus Store? What is it? He's saying it costs $6. I forgot to look that up before getting into this. But these are some of the comments that I was interested in from yesterday's show. Now, let's go to the day before. So let's go to episode 30. Let me find that one. I believe it's this one here. And there were a couple of comments I wanted to get on this one. So Jay Pace, here is his comment. Does anyone else think that the non-player characters, the NPCs, in Blade and Sorcery seem like they were made of marshmallow? When you see them get struck by a blade or an arrow, it goes in way too easy. And the ragdoll physics is a little too raggy, for lack of a better word. And you know what? Yeah, that is true. That is true to a definite degree. We saw it in the most recent Blade and Sorcery trailer, where the spears and stuff are just going right through someone's head, going through their head and being pulled out back through their head, which is incredibly violent and incredibly vicious. Of course, in real life, that would not happen. A spear is not going to go right through someone's skull like that. I don't, like, it would have to be shot out of a cannon to pierce. You got skulls, ladies and gentlemen. We do have these things called skulls that are inside our heads, and they're pretty freaking rock hard. And I don't think your average dagger is just going to go boom right into a forehead like it's made out of marshmallow. So Jay Pace, yes, you're on the money there. Of course, do we really want absolute 100% pure realism and everything? We probably don't, because there's a fun factor with that. You kind of like the fact that your dagger just goes zzz, all the way inside somebody's dome. It is kind of funny. Now, the ragdoll physics are a little too raggy. And this is true. Now, I can't remember what game it was that I was playing a while back, but I was playing some kind of game where when people died, they crumpled up into a weird pile of arms and legs being positioned all kinds of weird ways. And I can't remember what game that was. It wasn't this game, Blade and Sorcery. It was something else, and it just slips my mind right now. But Blade and Sorcery, I did notice this. When people do die, they do kind of crumble up into a ball. Not as horrible as this other game I'm thinking of, but they do kind of crumble up. It reminded me a little bit of Island 359 in the fact that when the dinosaurs in Island 359, when they die the exact same way, like frame for frame, exactly the same animation every time they die. And I kind of was reminded of that a little bit by Blade and Sorcery in terms of the ragdoll, but not quite as bad. But yes, you're on the money there, Jay. Okay, let's scroll down here. Mysterious Mr. X. Very mysterious. And I don't think I've seen this name before, so it's always nice to see a new name respond in the comments or join us in chat. That is always a cool thing. I like that. Mysterious Mr. X says, Blade and... Wait, is this the one I'm looking for? Let me see. About Gorn. Okay, wait. I want the mysterious about Gorn. Where does he start talking? Oh, here it is. Okay, my bad. Okay, so Mysterious Mr. X says, I only decided to try Gorn this year based on Steam feedback. The thing about Gorn is you feel like you're really hitting things, and that's why it has amazing user reviews. It's a great exercise workout. And yes, I highlighted this comment because that is the truth. You really feel like you're hitting things, and you feel like you're wearing things down, like you're contacting something, and it's having a real appreciable effect, especially with the armor and the padding. You hit it, it wears down a little bit. You hit it again, it's almost falling off. You hit it a third time, it falls completely off. That is a really good thing. That is why Gorn is so cool. But if you jump into Gorn and you just don't get it, and we've had a number of people in our chat, they just don't get Gorn, it's probably because that just isn't impressing them for whatever reason, or maybe they're just not noticing it. So that was a comment by Mysterious Mr. X. And then I wanted to go down here to Simon Jones. Simon Jones says, Anthony, as well as your choice of Game of the Month for 2018, how about adding in a people's vote for game of each month based on most votes in the chat from the selection of your candidates? Now, this is a great idea, but I think doing it in chat, I don't think might be the greatest idea. Now, this is where I think having our Discord server is a major bonus. One of my concerns here, I think we should do this. We should have like a fan-based voting. So when we finally do our Game of the Year awards show, or whatever kind of little show that we do to celebrate the games of the year, basically I'm going to have my games of the year, but I'm also going to have your games of the year. So I think that would be cool. And so we're going to figure this out in our Discord server. We're going to make sure that basically people are going to kind of like submit to me or we'll figure this out on our Discord server. So basically just go over there, but everybody's going to get a single vote, and there's going to be a list of games that you can nominate. You're going to have to choose a game from that list, so you can't just put in a rando game. And we'll figure that out. So we will get a people's choice going. That is a great idea, Simon Jones. I'm definitely going to run with that. We're going to have to figure that out in Discord, and I'm hoping maybe I could get a volunteer, somebody in Discord that will kind of take on that, the commissioner, if you will, for that. That would help us out, and then we can kind of organize that, and we can add it into our Game of the Year awards, which we're going to do that later this month. I mean, hey, it's December 8th. We got to get moving, right? We got to hurry up along down the road on this thing. Okay, and then I wanted to go into episode 29 really quick. Just a couple of quick comments on episode 29, and we will bounce out of here. Okay, Scion. And he doesn't want to go by Scion VR, but that's what his name got stuck as. But he likes Scion. Now, here's his question or comment here. Is there any pressure to finish the current level faster in Arca's Path, or Is it more chill and relaxed? Beat it at your own pace. Well, yeah, you absolutely can beat it at your own pace. Now, there is a time trial. So when you're going through Arca's Path, apparently there's 25 levels in Arca's Path, and as you're going through them, you're trying to find every crystal that is located on the course. And let's say there happens to be 9 crystals on a particular course. If you find all 9 crystals, that unlocks the time trial mode. Now, if you jump into time trial, you're trying to beat it as fast as humanly possible. You are trying to get through there as fast as possible. But if you're just playing the normal level, you can chill and relax. It doesn't care how long you take. You can kick it. You don't have to be in a major rush. It is kind of a chill game. It has good music. I like the music, kind of a Tron-ish kind of a soundtrack. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Daft Punk, you know, the official soundtrack for Tron. A little bit like that in certain ways. I mean, I'm not into that kind of music, so maybe I'm just making generalities here. But the music is pretty good. You could definitely chill out to that game. And then Jay Benson. Okay, Jay Benson has a comment or a question here. Here is what he had to say. There is an Oculus Go version of Arca's Path. It has 25 levels. How many levels does a PC VR version have? I believe they all have 25. This is another thing that I wanted to do a Google search and check. Is this available right now? Like, can I go on my Oculus Go and buy Arca's Path right now? They have Arca's Path on the Go. How much is it? I was going to do a little Google search on that, ran out of time, forgot about it. Okay, and then I Am Ruts. This guy has about 28 comments over here, but I'm just going to pick one of them. This is one of his comments. He says, no, sorry, Anthony. The combat in Scraper is more tactical than you're making it out to be. First, there is an EMP button. There for a reason. Use it to disable destroy robots. Melee is your friend. If you're punching them with your robot arms, it's hard for them to shoot you. Have you used your super? Also, don't forget the shield you can recharge at will, with power of course, which your enemy does not have. I did have the same thoughts at first, but after blah, 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 blah. Okay, I Am Ruts. You know what? I agree with you here. You gotta, one thing I'll back up and say is in regards to Scraper, when I was talking about Scraper, I'd only played the game for an hour, really, probably, you know, maybe a little bit over an hour, maybe hour and a half or so. Those were my first impressions. So again, I got to couch it. Like sometimes I'll get on here and I'll give all kinds of impressions on a game. But at the very beginning, I said, hey, these are just my first impressions. But a lot of people forget about that part of it, and they just think you're kind of just giving a straight-up review. And then if I never come back to the game and talk more about it, it kind of is like the review that I left out there. So I got to be careful with that. But yeah, I Am Ruts is perfectly correct here. There are a lot of other options. You do have an EMP blast that you can trigger. You do have a super. I did use my super a number of times. You also have melee. Now the thing is, you're going to have to learn all of these controls. And I didn't get to the point of learning all these controls and feeling like I had it all dialed in, but maybe I was a bit harsh on the combat of Scraper, and I need to get back into Scraper and play it some more. Okay, so that is the mailbag. So we're, you know, covered all of the mailbag there, so I feel good about that. Okay, now what else did we want to get into here? Well, why don't we go into, we can go into the Game of the Year discussion and start that off, but we could also go into my take on Virtual Revolution demo. So why don't I go over here and just type Virtual Army Revolution. Okay, so Virtual Army Revolution. Did you guys go into this demo yesterday? I did. I went in there last night. Now this is coming from Haptic Pulse. It arrives on December 14th, which I believe is later next week, towards the end of next week. I don't know what the price of this thing is going to be, but it does say official demo coming on December 7th. That was yesterday. It is out there. It is available. Did any of you guys try it? I did try it. Unfortunately, I was in there, and at first there was nobody there, and I was just walking around. I was walking around these environments. I was in the one where it has a big giant horse statue at one point, and I'm just walking around the map, looking at everything and shooting my gun here or there. And then eventually another guy showed up. Now the other guy happened to be on my team, and somehow I didn't get voice chat working. You got to do something special to get voice chat working. I don't know. Somehow I didn't get the voice chat working. He was talking. I was trying to talk to him, but couldn't talk to him. And then what happened is he switched. He figured out how to switch to the other team. And so then he started killing me. And so it was just me and him. It was a one-on-one battle. And then I killed him. He killed me. And then I guess he backed out of it and left. And that was pretty much the extent of it. What do I have to say about Virtual Army Revolution? Well, I feel like the graphics are pretty bare bones. They're pretty basic, so not a graphical stunner by any stretch of the imagination. The other thing I'll talk about Virtual Army Revolution is it does do inverse kinematics. It gives you arms and shoulders, and it gives you legs. And you're kind of walking around like a funny, like ape type guy, like you're kind of like waddling around, and I think your legs, you're kind of bent over. The animations are kind of goofy to a certain degree, and your body is almost too big, I think. And then I was shooting my weapons, and they felt okay, but like I was shooting like the walls, and I was shooting some crates and stuff, and it wasn't really doing anything to the environment, so that wasn't anything particularly spectacular. I thought that the main thing that this game had going for it is that it was going more for a Call of Duty type of game, like really quick, really fast. You just get in there, you know, just shoot, 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 die, shoot, 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 die, run around super fast, shoot, 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 die. You know, Call of Duty. Like, I thought that's kind of what it's going for here, because we have a lot of different games in this category. We've got Pavlov, we've got Onward, we've got War Dust, we've got Zero Caliber, we've got Zero Killed, we've got Contractors VR, which is coming in a couple of days as well. I still have never played that, ever. And now we have Virtual Army Revolution, so there's almost too many of these games. And in this demo, there wasn't enough people, so I didn't get in there. I didn't really experience it all that much. It's not horrible. It's not absolutely horrible. It's going to be interesting to see how this is priced. I hope they kind of come in a bit low, like $19.99, $14.99 even, somewhere in those kinds of ranges. I hope they stay away from $29.99 and that type of stuff, but we'll have to wait and see. So, you know, I mean, I don't have any definitive thoughts on this because I didn't get into a real game. So that was my thought there on Virtual Army. Okay, so let's switch back over here to our standard scene. Now, I didn't pay attention to chat at all yesterday. That's not good. I shouldn't do that. So let me jump back into chat. And push the button says you have to subscribe on your own YouTube. Really? Because I think that's how I got into trouble the last time with my other channel. So I'm like scared of doing anything with my own. Like I'm not liking, I don't want to like my own videos or anything like that. So I don't know. Yeah, no, I have not subscribed to my own channel. Let's see. I Am Rhett says, oh man, I really like Arca's Path. Just simple and relaxing. And, oh, he also says, rereading that comment, it comes off a bit harsh. No big deal. It's not a problem there. You know, sometimes what we type in chat, like I'm sure I've made comments on our Discord server that I wish I could delete because it doesn't, it's like sometimes your sarcasm or your comedy doesn't come off the right way you want it to. Paradise Decay is talking to I Am Rets. He says, I also like the combat in Scraper, and I probably thought Anthony was a bit too harsh when he was talking about the combat originally. And Ace 3093, I always love it when there's somebody new I've never seen before in the comments. In chat, I don't believe I've ever seen Ace 3093 before. He says, I fired up my PSVR last week again. That controller drift still kills me. Okay, Ace 3093, make sure that you have your camera a little bit higher and aimed downwards, almost like a shower, like it's showering you with its cone of vision. I feel like you get better tracking. Also, make sure that there's nothing that is reflective behind you, because that will really kill it. But you can get relatively good tracking from your PSVR. Do you have to kind of go out of your way to make sure you have it all set up correctly? Yes, you do. Does that kind of suck? Yes, it does. But if you take a little bit of time, situate your camera properly, make sure there's no reflections behind you, like posters on the wall or frames or windows, any weird reflective surfaces, and then you'll probably get a pretty decent tracking there. Lee Tobin says, tried Virtual Army for about 3 minutes, but could not get my gun in my left hand. Went straight back to War Dust. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes when, when the controls don't work and they don't work quickly enough for you, like the F this, I'm out of here. I don't like this anymore. I'm getting the hell out. I'm moving on. So yeah, probably some mixed reactions there with Virtual Army Demo. Okay, so we got to get into July. July 2018, like I said, it is December 8th. And we got to work our way through this Game of the Year awards thing. Now, we've been taking it month by month because we're trying to take our time. We're trying to marinate. We're trying to relax and chill, just like Arca's Path. We want to relax and chill. We are not in a time trial. We're not in a race. Having said that, we can't take too much damn time. We don't want to be doing our Game of the Year in February. So we got to start banging through this thing. So what we're going to do now is we're getting into the games of July, and it's pretty strong. There are some strong contenders in the month of July. Let me go ahead and grab the trailer for our first big banger of July. We got 5 bangers on the docket, and we're going to go ahead and start it off with Seeking Dawn by Multiverse Entertainment. Yes, Seeking Dawn came out on July 12th. Now, this is a game that had a lot of hype. A lot of people were very hyped on this game. And I think when it first hit, I'm not sure it lived up to the hype 100%. And so I think there was a bit of a disappointment right away. Also, the price was pretty harsh. We're talking 40 bones. This is a full pop VR game. Now, if you get into the game with the environments and the worlds and everything the way they make it out to be, it kind of reminds me of like a Halo or something. I was kind of going through this game in some of the early levels, and I almost felt like I was in a poor man's Halo, I guess you could say, from a single-player campaign kind of a Halo or something like that. I thought it's pretty good. There's a lot of things that are moving around. There's a lot of creepy crawlies. It's a living, breathing world that you get inside of in Seeking Dawn. I did have a bit of performance issues when I played it originally. It's working a little bit better now. I played it recently now that I have a 1080 Ti. I love the menu system. I think they really did a great job with the menu system. You hit certain buttons, it brings up, you have a quick menu where you could just have an alien burger and you just grab it, you grab the burger and you eat it. You grab your weird water bottle jug, you drink some water, you grab your gun, you got your gun in your hand. The menu works nicely, and then you have a bigger menu where you can go into your inventory and then you could grab stuff from your inventory and put it into your quick menu setup. Here's my thing about Seeking Dawn. I have not been in a lot of these levels. I'm looking at this trailer here, and I really have only seen the earliest levels. Not a good thing. I need to get deeper into this game. It just seems like I never have enough time to play this game. And I'll tell you, in July when this came out, I didn't get my hands on it right away. We got it a little bit later. I think VR Roundtable, I think we bought this game with with money that we got from some of our YouTube videos and stuff. So I never got a key for this, and I was a little bit late. And then I got bombarded with so many other games, and I kind of just lost sight of it. And then, of course, now they also have this like free-to-play version, which I haven't heard too much about that. There's your commander, Kim Kardashian. So let's go ahead and see what people are talking about in chat. If anybody's talking a little bit about Seeking Dawn here. Let's see. I Am Rut says the crafting, the guns, the enemies, actually a good game. I believe he's talking about Seeking Dawn. Lethal Weasel VR says, I like it too, but I didn't have to pay for it. There was an initial jank factor. I Am Rut says it was janky as F in the beginning, and yes, I did just scratch the surface, absolutely. Jay Pace says, I was in Seeking Dawn beta phases for many months. It's funny, I thought Jay Pace, I thought you were actually an employee with Multiverse Entertainment for the longest time, Jay. I thought you were an employee because you kept mentioning Seeking Dawn here and Seeking Dawn there, and I thought Jay actually worked for Multiverse. But he says, I was in Seeking Dawn beta phases for many months. I saw the game grow from something really weird, goofy, buggy, to something very unique and cool. Planet, aliens, and biology was amazing. I agree with Anthony. Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to say, like, you absolutely got to run out there and buy Seeking Dawn. I'm not saying that. But this is also not a game to completely ignore and just pretend it doesn't exist. It is pretty solid. It's pretty decent. It's still damn expensive, though. That's why it's kind of good that they do have this free-to-play version. Again, I need somebody to explain to me how does the free-to-play version work? Like, what do you actually experience and see? I don't know. I still don't know what's going on with the free-to-play version. Okay, so that is Seeking Dawn. That is our first game for July 2018, but let's keep the show moving along because we got 4 more games to get into. So let's grab the next contender for the month of July. And our next contender, Archangel. Okay, so Archangel by Skydance Interactive. This game arrived on July 18th for the PlayStation VR. Yes, so this is, you might not think of Archangel as a July game because maybe you got it on Steam or Oculus Store a couple of months later, but it initially was a PlayStation VR exclusive. However, it was one of those short window exclusives, kind of like Moss, you know, like a 45-day exclusive. It wasn't a tremendous amount of time. I played Archangel right away. I played it on PlayStation VR. I don't know if like VR Game Rankings got a code for it or if it was VR Roundtable or whoever it was, but I know we got a code from Skydance Interactive. And I'm talking about Archangel before Hellfire, before they had like a little multiplayer add-on as well. And everybody shat all over this game. Shiitake Mushroom Celebration. I mean, everybody really shitted all over this game because they're like, oh my god, man, this game is on rails. Like, who the F wants a mech game on rails? This sucks. I can't believe it's on rails. I have no interest in this game. It's a piece of dog dookie. But you know what? It's on rails. It is on rails, but let me tell you, if you completely ignore the single-player version of Archangel simply because it is on rails, you are doing yourself a major disservice. Now, I like Vox Machina as much as the next guy, but Vox Machina does not have a legitimate single-player. It does not have a story. And Archangel does have a legitimate single player. It does have a story. Now, you are on rails, but you've got a lot to think about here. You've got a shield for this arm. You've got a shield for this arm. You're shooting guys. You're doing things. Communications are coming in you. A story, a movie, if you will, an interactive movie is playing out as you go through this game. Now, you're not the pilot, you're not driving the ship, but you don't need to be the pilot. You've got enough to worry about. Trust me, I'm telling you, if you guys played the single-player version of Archangel for like 3 levels or for maybe a couple of hours, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And you'll realize, yeah, you still might be a little bit irritated that you can't just go anywhere, but there's an advantage to not being able to go anywhere. The developer knows exactly where you're going to be at the exact time, and they can make it really cinematic. They can add a lot of special effects. They make it like a movie. This is like an interactive movie. It's a story that is playing out in real time as you're going through the game. So what? You're not the pilot, but you got enough to worry about, I'm telling you. And then the voice acting is incredible. Okay, there's two different voice actors. You can either be a male protagonist or a female protagonist. And I'm not saying the female protagonist does a bad job, but what I am saying is the male protagonist, oh my God, this guy goes above and beyond the Call of Duty. Now, in a certain way, it might be a little bit too over the top, and it might even go into comedy area in terms of the voiceover work, but I loved it. I love the voiceover by the male actor that did. He was really into it, really pissed off, like he really bought into his role and was really living out the role that he was playing as the voice actor. It was a bit over the top, but I thought, I mean, this dude, whoever did the voice work for this, he's competing head to head with whoever did the pinwheel in virtual reality for voiceover of the year. The guy that did this in Archangel and the pinwheel. It is a race to the finish. It is a photo finish, absolutely, between those two voice work jobs. Just absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's see. Did anybody play Archangel? So VR Spry Guy says, I enjoyed Archangel. Don't let On Rails stop you from playing the game. I Am Rhett says, oh, it's on Rails? Not interested. That's exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people are just like, nope, have no interest on Rails. No, thank you. Lethal Weasel VR says, I liked Archangel. I was not happy that PSVR didn't get the Hellfire update. Yeah, that is true. But my best memories of the whole Archangel thing, though, is really the single-player game. The Hellfire thing is cool. It's very nice that they added it. But really the single-player game is what I like about Archangel. It's a little sci-fi movie that they put you in, and it might not be the best little sci-fi movie ever made, but it's still pretty darn good. There's a lot of cinematics. You know, there's high production value here. I kind of feel, I feel nervous, really, for like Skydance Interactive, because I got to imagine they spent a lot of money making this Archangel thing, and I don't think it's paid off for them, and that's terribly unfortunate, but, you know, hopefully eventually things will pay off for Skydance Interactive at some point in time. Paradise Decay says, I enjoyed the single player of Archangel. That opening scene going up into the bot was amazing. It reminded me of the good old arcade games. Yeah, in the very beginning, they take you on a little cinematic kind of thing. The way the game kicks off, the way everything is, the way the story unfolds at the very beginning, very cinematic, and it's impressive. I like it. I think it's pretty good. How long is the campaign? Not very long. I think you could get through this in about 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on how fast you're bouncing your way through it. I never finished it. I got to admit, I did get pretty late in it, but didn't completely finish it. And I have played this on the Oculus Rift, and it's even better looking, you know, on the Oculus Rift. And the PSVR version looked pretty darn good to begin with. But yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Archangel. Underrated in a major way. Okay, we got to keep moving along here. So let's go to the next one. Let me grab the next trailer. So Archangel was July 18th. Let's go ahead and grab the next one. Alrighty, so the next one is July 26th, and this is something people were wondering about in chat. I've had a number of people in the last couple of months say, hey, what about Marvel Powers United VR? I guess some people may have thought this game came out in May. Some people may have thought this game came out in June. But Marvel Powers United VR, an Oculus Rift exclusive by Sanzaru Games, arrived on July 26. Now, this game had a ton of hype, a ton of anticipation from everybody out there. We thought that this was going to be a major banger of a game. I mean, it's Marvel, it's Oculus, it's an exclusive. This is a big, huge game. It's going to be a big deal, right? Well, honestly, I got to admit, personally, I felt this was a major disappointment. I'm not a huge fan. Gotta be honest with you, okay? I'm not really a Marvel guy in the first damn place. I was a Spider-Man fan when I was a little kid. I had Spider-Man comic books. I used to really be into Mysterio. Remember that, the enemy Mysterio? I'll never forget, there was a Spider-Man comic book where Peter Parker is in like a swimming pool, and he's like, I don't know if he was Spider-Man at the time or he was Peter Parker at the time, but he's in a swimming pool and he thinks he's drowning. He's like, ah! You know, he thinks he's drowning, but it's all an illusion, man. It's an illusion, just like reality is an illusion, man. And it was the enemy Mysterio. I really like the enemy Mysterio. But that's pretty much all I know about Marvel. Like, I'm not one of these Marvel people that most people are. I don't watch all the movies. If you want to see a great superhero movie, what do you see? Chronicle. Yeah, baby. That's the only superhero movie you ever need to see. But so I'm not really a Marvel guy, so take that into consideration. But my biggest problem with Marvel Powers United VR is it's just monotonous. I mean, that's the one word. If you need one word to describe this game, it is monotonous. Another word would be repetitive. It overstays its welcome. I just feel like if the stages were shorter, it would be better, but it's just the same old crap over and over and over again, endlessly. It's like, yeah. I mean, I'm in this damn game. I'm playing this game. Now, I know they've added some updates to it. Maybe they've improved it a little bit. Haven't been in it in a fortnight, let me tell you. And I know there has been these updates, but when I was in it, like, you would be in a stage and it just goes and goes and goes. And it's like, man, I've been in this stage for like 18 minutes. When is it going to finally come to an end? When am I going to go to some new background or something? So honestly, not a major fan of Marvel Powers United VR, but it deserves to be recognized as a potential contender. Do you guys hear my dog out there? He is growling at the moon, even though it's noon. What is he doing? I don't know what my dog is doing. I told my wife, let my dog in because he will start barking. My dog knows that I'm in here, and he will deliberately bark right outside this door. He's basically saying, Anthony, let my ass in, fool. I'm going to keep barking until you let me in. But I guess my wife didn't hear my pleas. Okay, so that is Marvel Powers United VR. It arrived on July 26. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one as we proceed. Okay, let's grab the next one here. Now, we've got two more bangers, and let me tell you, you want to talk about a banger? Let's talk about bangers. Bangers and eggs for breakfast. Okay, the next one up came on July 31st, last day of the month. And of course, we are talking about Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. This one came out of the blue. We weren't expecting it. Yeah, feed the dog. My dog is pissed. He is yapping out there. He's crying, he's screaming, but let's just forget about the dog for right now. Okay, so Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. This arrived on July 31st by Ninja Theory. And we weren't expecting this. Like, there was no advanced warning. I mean, we got maybe a week of a warning, but we weren't prepared. We didn't know. All of a sudden, we heard, oh my God, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice is going to be in VR. Now, I got to admit, as somebody that does not follow flat gaming whatsoever, I've just divorced myself from pancakes altogether, except I did have some pancakes today at Mimi's Cafe, and they were delicioso. Delicious. Whatever. They were very good. But I'm not following pancake games, so I didn't even know what the hell Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice was. But everybody else was excited about it. Everybody else was super hyped on it. And they're like, oh man, dude, this is coming to VR. This is Ninja Theory. It's incredibly cinematic. And I'll tell you what, if there is a developer out there that understands cinematics and how to like really give you the emotion in a person's face, it is Ninja Theory. I mean, they had, what was that game that they had on PlayStation 3? That lady with the red hair, you know, her flowing red hair. I don't remember what the name of that game was anymore, but that was like one of the very first games that gave us an idea of how cinematics can come in and kind of change the game to a degree. And so Hellblade, it hit on July 31st. I tried it out. Now, this is one of these games where you're going to sit down. You're sitting down in a chair and you can hold a regular controller. There's no motion controllers needed. This is third-person VR. And the amazing thing about this Hellblade is if you're on the Oculus Rift subreddit, if you're on the HTC Vive subreddit, PC VR-based gamers, a lot of them wouldn't give a third-person game any consideration at all. You know, they wouldn't give it the time of day. Like, they were very anti-third person. I remember I would bring up Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword, that is the game on PlayStation 3, the lady with the red hair. That's where they started the cinematics. That is Sash the Dash, checking in from Deutschland. Deutschland in the house with Heavenly Sword. Yeah, absolutely. And so what was I talking about here? Oh, yeah, they don't give the time of day. Like a lot of people, I would bring up a third-person VR game that you control with a controller, and people be like, third-person VR? Get the hell out of here, man. If the world isn't completely surrounding me, if I don't have my boots on the ground, if I don't have a sword in one hand and a shield in the other, then get the F out. I don't want to play a third-person game. I don't want to sit down in a chair and use a regular Xbox controller, but it's amazing what a AAA game does to change the opinions of a lot of people out there. This game changed the tide, I believe. This game set the stage for Moss to come to, well, I don't know when Moss finally hit, but Moss kind of helped it as well. But a lot of people were discounting third-person games, and Hellblade changed it up. Because a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to try Hellblade. They tried it and they were like, damn, this looks really good. This plays really well in VR. It's basically a movie that is unraveling in front of you. Yeah, you're a little bit back from the action. You see your character there. You're controlling your character. Hey, I think it works absolutely great. And then it also had the experimental mode that you could activate in this. There was an experimental mode where it's like a little diorama, and it's like you got a little character. It almost looks Pixar, and your little character is running around and the puddles and everything, and it looks so freaking cool. The experimental mode is awesome as well. I Am Ruts says, Anthony, have you beaten Hellblade? I Am Ruts, what do you think? Do you think I've beaten Hellblade? No. I'm stuck on I'm stuck on some kind of puzzle. Now, there were these puzzles, and some of the puzzles you will get stuck. You might have to go to a walkthrough or something to figure out what the hell is going on. And I had to do that a number of times with Hellblade. So no, I have not finished the entire Hellblade. I scratched the surface. I hope you have your Jack Daniels right there at the ready for that. But yeah, no, I saw the brilliance of Hellblade, and it's kind of dealing with mental illness and psychosis and stuff like that. So it has some real issues that are going on. Pretty powerful, pretty awesome. Big fan of Hellblade. So that arrived on July 31st. Now, Hellblade is a shoo-in, right? It's going to win this month. It's pretty much over, right? I mean, Hellblade's going to beat Marvel Powers United. It's going to beat Archangel. It's going to beat Seeking Dawn probably, right? But you know what? There is one more game, ladies and gentlemen, so we can't just give it to Hellblade right now. We've got to consider one more banger. And what is the other banger? The other banger is Pixel Ripped 1989. Yeah, you want to talk about a game that kind of came out of nowhere to shock it by a little indie developer. A little indie developer came out of the woodwork and absolutely killed it, in my opinion. I mean, absolutely killed it. This is one of those magical moments. It kind of reminds me of how I felt about Beat Saber. Somebody just stepped up to the plate. You know, they stepped up to the plate. They pointed to the left field bleachers. The pitch came down and just bam. And they just took that shit out of the park. And that is what Pixel Ripped Incorporated did with this game. They absolutely freaking killed it. And the reason they killed it is, I don't know why anybody else isn't doing this. Where is Miyamoto when you need him? Where's Nintendo? Where is Sega? This is the way that you want to take old school retro stuff and bring it into VR. Because here's the thing. You can go get yourself a Magic Leap headset if you want to pay $2,300, and you can see little holograms running around in front of you. But guess what? You can buy yourself an Oculus Rift for $400. You can buy yourself an HTC Vive for whatever the hell that costs, and you can see a lot of little holograms, and instead of having a little tiny window of a field of view, you got 100 degrees. And that is what Pixel Ripped 1989 did. They combine this little Game Boy game that you're playing and then it leaks out into the real world, and you're seeing your little hologram guy, and you're like, you're inside this world, and you're controlling this little pixel thing. Just so many good things were done in here. So many great ideas. The Game Boy worlds themselves, I mean, the way the colors are, the music. What about when the Game Kid, or whatever that thing is that you're holding, I believe it's called the Game Kid. What about when it's zooming at you like the monolith in 2001 A Space Odyssey? It's like, you know, it's moving really, really, and it's huge, it's gigantic. And if you guys played this in the Oculus Rift, so I played this on PlayStation VR, and I played this on Oculus Rift, and both of them are, I mean, PlayStation VR, damn good. But I played it on the Oculus Rift, and the improved graphics were really significant, because when that gigantic Game Boy thing was like zzz, getting close to me, like a gigantic UFO that was hovering in, and you're right above it, oh man, it is so awesome. Now, the gameplay of this game is a mixed bag, okay, because you will be in these different scenarios where you're basically trying to play a Game Boy game while you're in class, you're in school, and so you're trying to kind of hide it. So you have to kind of hide your Game Boy down here, and then when the teacher isn't looking, or you distract the teacher or whatever, then you can bring your Game Boy thing up and you can actually play it the right way. Now, here's my suggestion. If you guys have not played Pixel Rep 1989 yet, my suggestion, if you're on like an Oculus Rift or maybe on the HTC Vive, I would actually use a controller, a regular controller. I felt it was better that way. You lose a little bit of that hand tracking, so it kind of has to kind of guesstimate where you're moving the controller up and down, but I think it just feels better that way. So I used a regular controller. But man, much love, incredible love to Pixel Rep 1980, Pixel Rep Incorporated. I believe they're working on another game now. That is a great thing, because I want to see what these guys do next. I think they really killed it with Pixel Rep 1989. Incredibly underrated. And I just went into Pixel Rep 1989 not that long ago, and did the little Halloween thing, which was pretty cool as well. Okay, now let me go to chat, and let's see what some people are talking about in chat. Let's back up a little bit. Actually, I need to take a sip of water here, because my mouth is dry as can be. Okay, sorry about that. I had to do it. Absolutely had to do that. Okay, so Paradise Decay says, I'm going for Pixel Ripped based on originality in VR. Hellblade is a very close second. Jay Pace says, something about the perspective you get in Pixel Ripped made me feel exactly like a little kid again. That feeling alone was priceless. And Paradise, I Am Ruts is commenting towards Paradise Decay, and he's saying, agreed, so outside the box. And Hybrid Energy says, Hellblade, 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 no contesta, senoritas. I like that one. Good one from Hybrid Energy. And Lethal Weasel VR, Pixel Ripped was the start of the run that the PSVR is still on. The library is twice as good now. That is actually a good take there from Lethal Weasel VR. I mean, PlayStation VR is just on fire. Absolutely on fire. I mean, just got Red Matter. You could be somebody that just has a PSVR, you have nothing else, and you're not losing out on a hell of a lot. You really aren't. It's pretty amazing how that's working out. VR Spry Guy says, is Pixel Ripped a game I should buy to keep, or should I rent it from Viveport for a month? Well, maybe rent it from Viveport and see if it's your type of game. Because this, I was worried about this game. When I first started playing this, I do believe there's a person out there that is not going to get Pixel Ripped. If you've never seen a Game Boy game in your entire life, you're probably just, this isn't going to work for you, you know, because you are playing that Game Boy game a good portion of the time that you're in this, but it's like you're in another reality playing a game in another reality within that reality. It's part of the process, and it's very important. It's a key part of this. So the Game Boy game that you're playing, it's a part of this whole thing. But if you have no context for Game Boy, if you never had a Game Boy, you never played a Game Boy game, you don't understand the monochrome, greenish, aqua-colored visuals of the Game Boy, so much of this is just going to fly right over your head, and you're just not going to get it. So that is part of it. You know, if you're 25 years old, I don't think you're going to get pixel ripped. Hell, if you're 30, you're probably not going to get pixel ripped. But if you're like over 35, if you're in your 40s or whatever, it's probably going to hit you in a really special place. I mean, look at that. They had an Electronic Gaming Monthly, an EGM issue is on the table, and I actually have that exact issue, the 1989 Buyer's Guide, Pixel Ripped 1989. I have that issue. It looks just like the Electronic Gaming Monthly issue that I have. Let me go ahead and go back over to chat here. Chris Gold says, Hellblade carries the torch for other AA and AAA developers. A very important game. And Sash the Dash, coming in here from Deutschland, says, in Germany, Pixel Ripped came out in October. Troy Martin checking in says, I got stuck on one of the bosses in Hellblade. I got stuck on a lot of the puzzles in Hellblade. Jay Pay says, and the sounds in Pixel Ripped were 100% retro-licious. I love that. Yes, retro-licious. It wasn't a retrocity, a retro city, a retrocity. It wasn't that. It was retro-licious, baby. Yeah, you know, one of the things about Pixel Ripped I can rant and rave about, something that even a 25-year-old could appreciate, even if they had none of the nostalgia factor working for them, is the production values. Pixel Ripped 1989 is a small developer. They're a relative, you know, they're an indie developer, but their production values are off the chain link fence. Every little bloop and blop, every little thing that happens, like there's no jank. There's no jank in this game. When it like switches to another view or anything, everything is smooth, everything is effortless. The sound effects, all of it is done so well. The production value is so well. It doesn't seem like an indie game by any stretch of the imagination, but who's ever heard of Pixel Ripped Incorporated? Nobody. Like, they are an indie developer, but maybe they are a new star. And I believe the main person that kind of was the inspiration, like the person that kind of came up with this entire concept, is a Brazilian lady that I believe moved to England at a certain point, and she was like educated in England, but she's like of Brazilian descent. I don't have her name in front of me here, but she's basically the main person behind Pixel Ripped. And then, you know, obviously a number of other people also worked on it as well. They've got an entire team there. Scrolling down a bit here. They need to do Pixel Ripped 1993. Absolutely. Are these the only two competitors this month? That's Hybrid Energy. Okay, so yeah, so we've covered 5 games. No, there are 5 games. So let me go ahead and bring out the list of 5 games that we had. There are a grand total of 5 that are being considered here. So let me pop that on the screen. Okay, so here we are. Best VR games of July. And hold on a second. Let me dial this in a little bit. I got my video a little bit too big there. Let me reposition it perfectly. There we go. Okay, yeah, the best VR games of July 2018. These are the contenders. We have Seeking Dawn, which arrived on July 12th. We have Archangel, which arrived on July 18th for PlayStation VR. Then later it came over. We have Marvel Powers United VR on July 26th. We have Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice on the final day of the month. And Pixel Ripped 1989 on the final day of the month. Now, I got to admit here, this bottom line, this is a battle between Hellblade and Pixel Ripped. I mean, it's as simple as that. And it is a race to the finish. This is a photo finish. This is like one of those horse races where their noses are like right together, and you got to wait a couple minutes. You got to let the photos develop, and you got to see whose nose was just a tiny bit in front of the other nose. Because whether Pixel Ripped 1989 wins July or whether it's Hellblade, The other one could hold its head high because it was right there, man. It was so close. I think you guys kind of have a feel for where I'm leaning. You guys probably know what is going to be game of the month for July 2018. But, you know, we'll go ahead and bring that up next time we get into this when we're covering the games of August. And there are some pretty cool games that are coming up in August that we'll get into as well. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for our Game of the Year continued discussion. We are marinating. We are soaking in this Game of the Year. We are letting all these wonderful releases of the year 2018 fall and rain down upon us. And we are enjoying these wonderful games. We're celebrating these wonderful games. And we continue to do that. And we just got through July. And it is a wonderful thing. All right, folks, you know what? It's basically been an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce on out of here. It was a fun episode today covering these games. I had a great time. Hope you guys did as well. That's going to go ahead and do it for today's episode. Tomorrow, we will be back. You know, I don't know. Are we having a VR Roundtable episode tomorrow? I'm pretty sure we are. Okay, so most likely VR Roundtable will have an episode right around 9:15, 9:10. We usually start a little bit after 9 a.m. and it usually runs till about 11. And our episode will follow that episode about 10 to 15 minutes later. But you can go ahead and plan on for 11 a.m. Pacific time. Usually it falls right around then. Now, what I will ask everybody at this point in time is go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Go ahead and like the video. And even more important than both of those things, leave a comment after it is all over with. After the video is all done, leave a comment. There's plenty to talk about. You can talk about the Virtual Army Revolution demo. You can talk about that if you happen to get into that demo. You can talk about any of the 5 games that we talked about here. A lot of really good options there. What else is there to talk? Was there anything else we got into? Well, you could talk about any of the stuff we got into in the mailbag, any of the topics we got into the mailbag as well. You can talk about those after the fact. And then the other thing is, if you could go ahead and suggest this show to one of your friends, anybody that really likes VR, that's good as well. So basically, that's going to go ahead and do it. I will see everybody on Sunday's episode tomorrow. Sunday Fun Day, maybe more of a shit show, maybe more of a go anywhere show, just kind of go with the flow kind of show. Maybe that's what we'll get into tomorrow. So I will see everybody then. Take it easy. Later.